Hello and welcome to the Story Shed. And I have a story now which is about cats. I don't think I've actually had a story before that was solely about cats, but now I do. So it was written by somebody I went to big school with, the thing that they call university, but really it's big school, really. And her name is HRH Sophie Louise. HRH Sophie Louise. And this story does have elements that might be more suitable for slightly older children. There's an operation that happens to cats. Sorry about that. And you might have to explain it. Okay, it's called In Which Shilo Realizes Who Is Boss. I felt sorry for him, but what could I do? Mumbo had been chewing my ear about his symptoms for half an hour before giving a detailed rundown of his emotional condition. He shook his head and with a little sniff said, "You don't understand what it does to a chap's self-esteem." "It's a bad business for sure," I said. "They're gone. It's sad, but if we put our heads together, I'm sure we can find a silver lining." He looked at me for a long time, the cone around his head framing a picture of humiliation. I could tell it would be up to me to get the ball rolling. I baited the conversational hook with a tasty tidbit. "You could go back to bird watching. Did you know there's a family of blue tits in Mrs. Garden?" His body grew taut, and he sliced through that idea with a heat-ray stare. He flicked his tail in a way that said, "And what were you doing in Mrs. Garden?" With hindsight, I can see that I made a big mistake at this point, but there's no sense making a fuss about spilt milk. One can't be different in the past. Mumbo sat back and was bending forward as if to lick his stitches, which everyone knows you can't do when you're wearing a cone. Tactfully, I turned to study a red admiral that was flitting past my nose. While I was noticing its attractive markings, he said "ciao," which has always been my thing. And then, you'll never believe this, he went and sat in my favourite spot in the front garden. If I tell you that this particular corner is a sheltered sun trap with superb views of the bird feeder and easy access to the hedge where the goldfinches nest, you will understand I hadn't wee-weed all over the climbing rose for a lark. Now, normally, I wouldn't let something like that get under my skin. I'd just stroll over to Mumbo and stand my ground until he remembered his place. I'd say, "Are you comfortable, old chap?" He would pretend he hadn't noticed me coming, have a good stretch, then activate his heat ray. Actually, I like that about him because a good, hard stare is an asset in a close neighbourhood. You don't want riffraff skulking around your turf while you're on holiday. Then I'd remind him of a thing or two. Not fisticuffs, you understand. We're both competition cats, and we have a professional image to maintain. Besides, it wouldn't be a fair fight, because I'd thrash him, and he knows it. The point is, all of us around here understand the protocol. If there is a difference of opinion, we have a staring contest. The one who gives up first is the loser. It goes without saying that never before have I contemplated the merest possibility of giving up. Until today. Feeling very unsettled by his unsportsmanlike behaviour, I crept under the hydrangea bush. Mumbo was lounging on the lawn in my favourite spot, making himself precisely as welcome as an enormous molehill. I flattened my body into the damp peaty earth. He's twice my size. I'm done for, I thought, and by some underhanded clerical workaround, he'd become the boss. This situation required a well-defined plan of action, and I needed to contemplate strategy. I was retreating so slowly you wouldn't have seen me move when I heard the familiar little chirrup of Missy, my neighbour from over the wall, landing daintily by the climbing rose. I stuck my head through the flowers and saw her looking at the new molehill. "Oh, hello, Mumbo," she said. The molehill stood up, walked in a circle, and then approached her hindquarters. He sniffed her and said, "I can still give a girl a good time, you know." My whiskers twitched. Missy is beautiful, charming, and down to earth, and I am in love with her. I am a cat about town and popular with the ladies, but she is my favourite. I think she has a soft spot for me too, and who can blame her? I am admired for my friendly nature, tan coat, and black spots, and for the tiger stripes on my legs. Mumbo, on the other hand, is, so he says, a British short hair with dark brown colouring. He's well groomed when he's not sporting a comb, but I'm definitely better looking. I hope you won't think I'm boasting when I tell you I'm an Egyptian Mao, and I have won several rosettes. I stalked out of the hydrangeas, hackles on high alert, and I went straight over to Missy. "How do you do, Missy?" I said. She replied, "I'm very well, thank you, Shilo." Then I turned to Mumbo, who looked even bigger close up. The end of his tail was flipping from side to side. "Are you comfortable there, Mumbo?" I said, with all the grit I could muster. "Let's do it," he growled, and bracing himself, turned his heat ray on me. I planted my feet and stared at Mumbo. Gosh, I thought, he's a giant. His throat rumbled, and I felt my knees buckling. What am I doing? I said to myself as my turncoat shoulders gave way. Mumbo hissed, "Who's the boss?" he said. My throat was tight, but I kept eye contact. "Who's the boss?" he yowled. Mumbo had me. I was ready to throw in the towel, but if I did, Missy would give me the heave-ho for sure. I hit the ground, sinking under the glare of Mumbo's heat ray. This is it, I thought. Goodbye, Missy. Then, as welcome as a saucer of cold milk, I felt a breeze ruffle my fur. The climbing rose behind Mumbo shivered. He turned around in surprise as a distinctly catty scent filled the air. My scent. The cumulative pong of a gallon of my wee-wee, sprayed in instalments 6 times a day for 8 years. I straightened up and stepped towards him. I was breathing deeply now. I filled my whiskers, my ears, my nostrils, my shoulders, every vertebrae to the tips of my tail. I breathed into my chest and my ribs, and I filled my legs down to my toes. Well, really, I thought, he isn't such a brute after all. "Mumbo, you ninny," I said. "I am the boss." He backed away, and it was all resolved without fisticuffs. Don't feel too bad for old Mumbo. Everyone agrees that Mumbo and Mrs. Nippers are the most appealing offspring they have ever saw. And for my own part, I would add they are remarkably intelligent and polite. Mumbo is very proud of them, even though none of them look like him. One of these days, he might notice the tiger stripes on their legs. Ciao. And that was a lovely story by HRH Sophie Louise. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow will be the 3-month marker. The 3-month marker in the Story Shed history. So, if there's anything that you would like to send in that may be read or may not be read, that would be great. You could send it to me at the storyshed@gmail.com. That's the storyshed@gmail.com. We're still looking for entries for the Dragon Week, where we will be reading 7 stories, 1 a day, over the week, which are obviously based on dragons. And we have, I think, 4 now. But it would be nice to have a lot more choice. So if you have anything in mind, again, send it to the storyshed@gmail.com. If you haven't subscribed, it would be great if you did. I'd like that. It would make me feel great if you did. Because I'd like to see the whole Story Shed thing grow and grow and grow. And if you share it with other people as well who might like it, that would be nice. I believe it's social networking. I think that's what it is. But in the meantime, take good care of yourselves, be well, and try and keep as safe as possible. Bye for now. Bye.